Good morning again. A quick look at headlines. Kim Jong-un steals Christmas by demanding Christians in North Korea celebrate his grandmother instead of the birth of Jesus. The dictator's grandma was born on Christmas Eve back in 1919 and grew to be, yes, a communist activist. She died in 1948. Oh my. And here's something you don't see every day. A seal on the run from police. Officers finally found the big guy on top of this car in Tasmania. You can see he's hard to miss and even dented the hood. Good news, he was safely returned back to his home in the ocean. And Abby, it looks like he gave his seal of approval to that car.
Well played. That is a huge seal. Wow. Well, President-elect Donald Trump announcing over the weekend he will dissolve his foundation to avoid any potential conflicts of interest. But for the Democrats, this move apparently is not enough.
Yeah, the DNC saying the announcement is, quote, a wilted fig leaf to cover up his remaining conflicts of interest and his pitiful record of charitable giving. We are glad that he is shutting down this corrupt enterprise, but questions remain about how this shutdown will accommodate the investigation into the foundation. But the question is, would Democrats be satisfied regardless of what Donald Trump has done and will do?
That is the question. Christopher Bedford is the editor-in-chief of the Daily Caller News Foundation. Good morning to you.
Happy Boxing Day.
Happy Boxing Day. So that is the question. I mean, if this were a Democrat, for example, how would this be played?
I think it'd be played very differently. And Donald Trump and everyone in the media has got a visit from the ghost of Christmas future here for what's going to happen over the next 4 years with Democrats. So they've been calling him to divest, and they're worried about all of his business interests, which, by the way, are not this has happened with presidents before who've been very wealthy men. So he's moving slowly, and he's announced he's going to divest this charity. And they say they just attacks. You can be guaranteed that no matter what he does over the next few years, that's what the Democrats are going to do. But they're going to have a rough time for the first few months because he's got the full power.
You're used to the partisans. You want to book and get both sides. And I thought, and if you want to do a fair and balanced look, if you're a Democrat, you'd say, I wonder what the legal implications are because it is technically under investigation from New York. But to attack this way, it shows a personal attack about a president that we know is going to have a tough time from day one. But to attack this aggressively, what does it say about the future?
Well, I think it says that they're going to be pit bulls for Donald Trump. They certainly weren't pit bulls against Hillary Clinton, whose foundation was far more reaching, was worth significantly more, and had more legal problems until the Donald Trump started being investigated. But it's a personal, vicious level of attack that I do not. We've seen it already. We've seen violence at the rallies. We've seen crazy rhetoric. We've seen, like we just talked about earlier, the tweets about white genocide. Yeah. The left is going nuts, and it's going to be very personal. And they're going to attack Donald and his daughter like she was attacked in the airplane for years and years, I think.
All right, so let me read you some of these tweets. This is from the DNC's Deputy Communications Director, Eric Walker, tweeting this. Might be tough to shut down a foundation that's under investigation for fraud, but taking a step back, there is nothing Trumpier than shutting down the tiny part of his empire that might actually do some tangential good while leaving his for-profit company intact so he can still profit off the presidency when he takes office. Merry Christmas, ... or something. That is coming from the Deputy Communications Director of the DNC. Would they be more effective if Democrats were more thoughtful about areas that they wanted to attack him on?
Well, right now, and just like they were doing in the election and what they're going to be doing forever, I agree with you. They're kind of preaching to the choir. If you're the average person who's logging on to Twitter, and I don't even think that many average people log on to Twitter, but if you're the average person who's getting on and you see this kind of a vicious attack with a Christmas-themed attack, why is that going to sway you? That kind of turns you off, even if they've got a point. And the Donald J. Trump Foundation is actually under investigation. It may not have been allowed to be taking public donations. Oh, by the way, the Clinton Foundation probably hasn't been legal for the last few years. That's a serious worry. You're going to see these attacks, but they're not going to change minds being this vitriolic on Christmas.
And one of your great points, Chris, as we have to let you go, is the fact that George Washington was one of the richest men in America. He was a pretty good president, I think, by some accounts. And John F. Kennedy, we know how rich the Kennedys still remain today. That wasn't held against him, but it seems like this is being held against Donald Trump, which is a bad sign of the future. If you're successful in business, you shouldn't run for political office. I thought that was always the goal. Do something first and then serve later.
But you'll never hear that if you go to George Washington University.
It's a callback from our 6B guest. Thanks so much, Christopher Bedford.
Good to see you this morning. All right, still ahead, he leaked her campaign manager's emails why Julian Assange says Hillary Clinton has no one to blame but herself.
And does your kid act like this after eating a lot of sugar?
Evelyn, why is he so wild? I don't know. You little Parker. Stillwell, Angel, have another chocolate bar. Gimme.
Are the holidays to blame for that? We're separating fact from fiction next.
Oh, we've all been there.
Yeah, covering the bus driver's eyes. All right, traditionally, the holidays are a time for family fun, but all the running around can cause many to feel under the weather today. So are the holidays to blame, or is there something else going on in your body?
Here to help us break down the truth behind the top holiday health myths, Dr. Nancy Simpkins. Welcome to you. Merry Christmas.
Good morning, everybody. Happy holidays.
So,
We're all feeling good this morning, though.
yeah, we feel good.
Not too much candy.
Okay, everybody ready for our quiz?
We've got some questions.
Right, okay, so the first one. Sugar makes children hyperactive. True or false?
This is a trick question.
False.
Ed, you should.
Thank you.
I wanted to stare at his answer for a little while.
The two people who said false are correct.
Yes.
Okay, it's really not the sugar that makes kids hyperactive, it's the environment that they're in when they're eating the sugar. For instance, a birthday party or, you know, a family gathering or staying up late at night or playing games. They've done these controlled studies with giving kids placebo and giving them sugar, and they just published one in the New England Journal.
Giving them sugar is fine.
So it's really
overload
okay.
them.
It's really okay. It's just a parental myth that we all have.
Really? I notice a definite difference. I don't want to stop this, the fact and fiction thing, but my first two, I could give sugar, no big deal. My third one, it was like a stimulant. It was like giving them coffee.
Okay, so then maybe you're going to have to do your own controlled study in your
you don't
family.
mind.
But maybe the third one has
Just
friends.
a mini Brian Kilmeade
That's
problem.
true.
All right, so airplanes, making you sick or not?
Right. Do airplanes make you sick? True or false?
Well, if
Depends on the
somebody's sick
person.
on the airplane,
Don't let her see. False.
Correct. It's true.
Oh.
Okay.
See, I was betting
No doubt about it.
that it seems so
Right,
obvious.
it seems so obvious.
Yeah,
Okay, it is really true. First of all the surfaces, right? They say the number one surface is the tray table that has so much bacteria. So if you're one of those crazy people who can wipe it down before you sit down with like a Purell wipe.
So not so crazy.
Right, and the person behind you, even 7 rows behind you, it only takes 3 minutes in the recirculated air for their germs when
so
they
if
sneeze to get to
they
you.
sneeze, it gets to you.
In 3 minutes.
You know what?
And 7 rows up. So basically, we're
You've
kind
got
of...
180 seconds, Brian.
You know what?
Right.
I used to nap on the trays. I will admit that. I've changed my habits. I know. Is that terrible?
Yeah, put your
After
head
your
down.
buddy married?
Yeah.
All right. What do you got? Number 3.
Most of your body heat you lose through your head. True or false?
I know that.
That's a no-brainer.
Okay, that's
True.
not true. That's not. And here's why. It's really a trick question. Because the way that we all dress, you lose most of your body heat through your head because you don't have a hat on. It's really based on surface area. So the head is only 10% of your body surface area. So for instance, if you were wearing shorts in the winter, you would lose a lot more of your body heat through your legs because it's a bigger
Wherever the
surface
opening.
area.
That's so
Wherever
interesting.
the opening
You're destroying the hat industry, but I'm going to forgive you.
Oh.
Right.
Now,
Okay.
next question.
This is bad for us because
Nighttime feasting makes you fat. True or false?
Man. True.
it's false.
False. Correct that. Why?
knows?
Because it's just calories in minus calories out. It doesn't matter what time of the day you eat them. But at night, people tend to eat things such as chips or cookies
Ice
when they're
cream.
watching
But
TV.
what about the theories, doctor, that you have no time to burn off what you eat, so you just
Sleep.
it sits in
Yeah,
your
that's
stomach?
really not true because your metabolic rate works even when you're sleeping. So if you're really good about doing morning exercise,
Right.
your metabolic rate will work for you when you're sleeping.
I love this. So more candy for your kids, and you can snack all night long.
But yeah, but snack on healthy things.
All right, last
one. Washing hands frequently prevents illness. True or
I think that's
false?
false.
It is true. Good job.
I think so.
That's the one thing that you think was going to be wrong is right. You can never wash your hands too often.
But,
Right.
but what about the theory that if you germs actually help fight back
That's what I was gonna say.
other illnesses?
Right.
So if
Right.
you wash
Oh.
them too much, you're getting rid of those
Okay, the
germs.
problem is we all touch our eyes, our nose, and our mouth, which are the mucous membranes that get the bacteria in. So that's why you must wash your hands. You come off the subway, you come off a train, you come off anywhere, you wash your hands only because we touch it and then the bad bacteria gets
All right,
into
you got
your
to talk
body.
to our own Tucker Carlson because he doesn't believe in that theory.
Yes,
He
I
says
know.
Never wash your hands.
We have had this discussion. he and I.
You don't want to argue with Tucker.
I know. I've seen the show.
Yeah, I've seen
It's kind of
It ends
annoying.
badly.
Thank you very much,
Next
doctor.
Cool. Great to see you.
Appreciate it.
All
Very well. Coming up, several performers won't be taking the stage at Mr. Trump's inauguration, but one singer who did sign up just hit #1, Brian.
Yes, take that, Bocelli. All this Navy veteran wanted for Christmas was to smile again, and he just got his wish. He'll show off that new smile when he joins us live.
Awesome.
I love that story. Good morning to you. It is Monday, December 26th. I'm Abby Huntsman in for Ainsley Earhart this morning. Well, he is the pop icon the world will never forget. He had so many great hits. Singer George Michael found dead at the age of 53. How he passed and the tributes that are now pouring in.
And two allies at odds. Tensions escalating this morning between the White House and Israel as Benjamin Netanyahu now accuses President Obama of organizing a, quote, shameful ambush. The shocking fallout. Straight ahead.
All right, and if you missed it, this Christmas, Donald Trump gets a standing ovation in church. That was the scene at a Christmas Eve Mass when the Trump family showed up. This morning, you're going to meet the pastor who prayed with the president-elect. And let me just remind you, in case you're asked a little bit later in the day, your mornings are better because you're with friends. Who took the people? Where did the people go?
Wait.
What happened in New York?
Ghost town on 6th Avenue.
I was walking there last night, 6th Avenue, literally madness, chaos.
You picked your own pop.
They were coming out of Radio City, and they were getting ready for New Year's on Times Square. It was complete madness. There was trash everywhere. People were bumping into each other, and now not a soul.
And you know what, Ed? You were at the Knicks game yesterday.
Oh, yeah, look at it.
That's how you celebrated
Knicks,
Christmas.
Celtics, Melo, you broke our heart. And look at that. Talk about breaking someone's heart.
Ryan Kiley,
I've never looked sexy.
Handsome man.
Yeah,
right there.
yeah,
Three handsome men.
Yeah, that's me and my brother. I had to pay for the suits, but it was worth it. $59.
All right, so we did a Secret Santa here on Fox and Friends. Yesterday, I was given a shirt with my dog's photo on it, and they gave George a shirt with my face on it. So, of course, I had to go home and exchange shirts. He was so proud in that moment. So happy about it.
And people are sending in pictures of their dogs. Russell, his dogs, Kevin, and Kobe. And there they are.
Oh, so cute.
I sense brothers.
Bros.
All right, this is from Scott and Elaine in Tennessee. They're bull mastiffs. Oh, those are
That's
beautiful
Halo
dogs.
and Boogie waiting for Santa in front of the tree.
And Lisa sends in her dogs, Autumn and Gizmo, opening up their presents.
This is great. And from Robert and Ursula, their 3-year-old Bolognese Lucy waiting for Santa to come down the chimney with little bows in her ears.
Sorry, kids, you took a back seat in that, in that
dogs
montage.
First. You know, if you have more friends at FoxNews.com, we want to see how you celebrated, how your pet celebrated. I'll tell you how I celebrated. I got a pocket square with Abby Huntsman on it. That's pretty exciting.
But Reichmuth is one who's going to sell.
Reichmuth is on it. And Peter Ducey's mane. His hair is pretty good.
He has
a
Twitter handle dedicated specifically to his hair.
That's pretty
cool. But he wanted to make it clear to by hand to do with it.
We do have a lot of news going on this morning, starting with this. Tributes pouring in overnight as the world mourns the shocking death of George Michael, the man behind mega hits like Last Christmas, Faith, and Wake Me Up Before You Go Go. We all know these.
Wake me up before you go go. Last Christmas, I gave you my heart.
Jackie Ibanez is here now with the breaking details. Jackie, this is breaking overnight.
Yeah, good morning. A lot of hits there. George Michael's manager said overnight that he passed away peacefully on Christmas Day due to heart failure. His sudden death at just 53 years old, leaving the world in shock. The 80s and 90s pop icon and former frontman of the group Wham sold more than 100 million albums over a career that spanned 4 decades. That song is just so catchy. He went on to a skyrocketing solo career, releasing dozens of mega hits like Careless Whisper, Faith, and Freedom 90. And this morning, celebrities are honoring the music legend. I'm indeed generous and a brilliant artist. My heart goes out to his family, friends, and all of his fans. And former Wham bandmate Andrew Ridgeley tweeting this: heartbroken at the loss of my beloved friend Yog. Me, his loved ones, his friends, the world of music, the world at large, forever loved. And singer Boy George writing, he was so loved and I hope he knew it, because the sadness today is beyond words. Devastating. What a beautiful voice he had. And his music will live on as a testament to his talent. I can't believe he's gone. And a live look this morning outside Michael's home in London, where he passed away, singer George Michael. He's dead at 53, and you can see those people outside his home this morning. Yeah, very sad news.
People this morning. Jackie, thank you for that. You know, you forget how many incredible hits that he has had over the years, including Last Christmas. I mean, that is an all-time favorite on Christmas.
Well, and think about the celebrities. Take a step back from 2016. I mean, recording artists like Prince, Arnold Palmer,
David Bowie.
Ali, David Bowie. I mean, not, you know, these are not
Robin
just celebrities.
Thicke,
These are icons.
Yeah.
So.
All right, so that's what happened. We don't really know many details, but we do know this. Elisa Booth's been scrambled up early, and being that you were awake already, do you mind doing the news for us here from 6 to 9?
For you, anything.
And you still are celebrating Christmas in your beautiful red. I love it, Lisa.
I can't let it go. I love Christmas too much.
What's going on?
All right, so wicked winter weather. Making a mess for holiday travelers. A blast of sleet, snow, and rain forcing long stretches of highways to shut down across several states. Slippery. So light delays for millions of travelers heading home after the holiday. Blizzard warnings covering much of the northern plains this morning, with North and South Dakota expecting up to 15 inches of snow and 55 miles per hour of winds. Just into Fox News, rescue workers finding the fuselage of the military plane that crashed into the Black Sea. Russia now saying pilot error or technical issues are likely to blame. All 92 people on board are feared dead. Mourners paying tribute to the victims of a vigil in Sochi last night. The plane was taking military personnel as well as an Army choir and reporters to a Russian airbase in Syria. Hillary Clinton destroyed herself. That is what Julian Assange is saying. The WikiLeaks founder mocking the former Democratic presidential nominee in a brand new interview. Assange says Clinton has no one to blame but herself because she put all her energy in trying to destroy WikiLeaks instead of just owning up. He went on to give his take on the president-elect, saying Mr. Trump represents an opportunity for change in the United States. Now, Ed, Abby, and Brian, Christmas may be over, but it's not too late to cash in on a holiday treat from Starbucks. The coffee chain is offering free espresso drinks for 1 hour every day through January 2nd. 100 Starbucks stores are holding up the pop-up cheer parties from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m., but the locations change each day. And those are your headlines.
You know what? That's a genius promotion.
Yeah, except I think I might just rather pay for it. I mean, why run around the city? It's a pretty big city. Trying to find a free coffee?
You're talking about a city that runs around chasing Pokemon.
$2.50, I'll buy the coffee for
Yeah, but you're just going to pay for
Also,
it?
do you really think we need more coffee? Thank you, Lisa.
Yes.
As a nation.
How much coffee do we drink in the morning?
Well, I don't actually. I've cut back after early going to a blitz with coffee. I basically have one a day.
Ed has a lot.
Well, I do. Well, all weekend.
One
we were
cup
doing
an
a
hour?
show together. You know what's interesting? This weekend, there was such a backlash over what happened Friday at the UN with the Obama administration abstaining. And what that meant was they did not block a resolution from going through before the Security Council that was slamming Israel. I mean, it wasn't just attacking Israel over settlements. It was saying the Israelis can't go to the Western Wall to pray. I mean, that's how ridiculous this resolution was. And the administration has been defending it by saying, look, you know, Democratic and Republican administrations have been against this Israeli settlement activity. But Democratic and Republican administrations have also protected Israel and stopped these kind of attacks on Israel.
Well,
and on the way out the door, President Obama said, I'm not dealing with
As
it.
Governor Mike Huckabee, we had him on over the weekend. He said this is basically just President Obama giving the huge middle finger to Israel as he's walking out the door. You have Republicans that are up in arms about this. You also have folks in Israel are speaking out, saying there's more behind how all of this played out, Brian.
Yeah, but if Chuck Schumer was against it, but he never.
But you're right. You probably could do more about this.
Absolutely. So Benjamin Netanyahu says, listen, not only this abstention is not taken at a small test, this is titanic for this relationship and almost unprecedented. He says, from the information that we have no doubt that the Obama administration initiated the initiative, stood behind it and coordinated on the wording and demanded that it be passed. Remember, first Egypt says we're going to do this.
Right.
And then the word came out from the Israeli government, Donald Trump, how do you feel about this? Talk to Egypt. So he called up al-Sisi and said, let's pull this back. He did. So they get Senegal, Venezuela, and New Zealand to say you push for it.
Think about
as if this is the top issue for these nations.
Right. And
that's what he's saying.
But the
that's
Prime Minister is saying when the White House said, well, our hands are tied here, this was already in motion. Oh, Netanyahu, that big deal. And do you think for a second that if Hillary Clinton had been elected, that Barack Obama would be in Hawaii saying, I'm not going to deal with this. He would have wanted to set things up between Clinton and Netanyahu. Instead, he's saying, Donald Trump, you deal with this mess.
It's such an interesting question. And if you were to answer that differently, to say that he would not have done this had Hillary Clinton been the incoming president, just shows how political this move could potentially have been. The White House is obviously pushing back on this, saying, no, this was not orchestrated beforehand. This is Deputy White House Press Secretary Eric Schultz. Here's what he said. He said, President Obama has done more for Israel and its security than any previous U.S. president. President Obama has always made Israel and its security sacrosanct in his approach to these issues. The U.S. did not draft this resolution, nor did the U.S. introduce this resolution.
And Prime Minister Netanyahu is saying the opposite, obviously. He's saying the opposite of that.
Well, it's just like they're out there now, Josh Earnest, talking about how their administration is more transparent than any other administration. Same thing here. They're seeing something clear that many others are not seeing.
But such a DVR is because John Kerry's going to be making a speech to expand on what was behind this thought process. But there's legitimate fear inside Israel that they could do more damage, could the Obama administration, on the world stage. So to calm down on your rhetoric, stop with the criticism, and just wait for Donald Trump to take over January 20th. Meanwhile, speaking of Donald Trump, the president-elect's got a few things to shape up and get ready before he actually takes over, including the Agriculture Secretary and a VA Secretary. But when it comes to the court system, he is primed to make a huge impact.
On the Supreme Court, yeah.
As well as the lower courts. He's got over 100 vacancies to fill.
But look, I spoke to an insider on all of this who told me that the Trump people are talking privately about how they think there could be 3 or 4 Supreme Court picks. They already have one on the docket from Antonin Scalia's death, of course, that President Obama had nominated his pick, not going anywhere. President-elect Trump will have to deal with that early on. But they're expecting more retirements, more activity there, and so this is something that could have real consequences in terms of Donald Trump reshaping the Supreme Court.
And not just making picks. We've been talking about Israel and how they're going to have to rebuild that relationship. Newt Gingrich is saying the biggest challenge for this new administration is far more than just making administration picks. Here's what he said.
Everybody who comes into the city underestimates how really hard to change the city is. I say this as a former Speaker of the House who did a fair amount of change. Right. But boy, I mean, it was all uphill, it was all hard, and in the end it wore us out. They'll reach a crisis point where they got to look in a room at each other. They're all winners. And they're going to say either we've got to be more reasonable and get along with the city, or we have to become even more unreasonable and break the power structure that's opposing us. My hunch is like the latter moment.
Donald Trump think that gets to that breaking point, he might try to break through like with a hammer.
Well, and he's made it very clear this is going to be a new chapter in 2017. We're going to do things differently when we get in there.
And when Gingrich said the other day in a previous interview with NPR that, drain the swamp might not happen, he quickly had to backpedal because Donald Trump said, yes, it is going to happen. They
spoke, and he said, that's not true.
Didn't sound like it went well.
Meanwhile, 13 minutes after the hour.
Benjamin Netanyahu is not the only one backing Donald Trump on the UN Israel vote. So is lifelong Democrat Alan Dershowitz. He says
internet by storm. Dads face swapping with their babies. But what does it look like when we face swap here on the couch? You are about to find out. That's creepy.
Sir. Some members of President Obama's own party now outraged over his refusal to back America's greatest ally, Israel, in Friday's vote at the UN. Our next guest is one of them. He said Donald Trump did the right thing. Turkowitz is a professor emeritus at Harvard Law School. He joins us now live. Good to see you. I wonder what you think was really behind this, because Prime Minister Netanyahu has never had a good relationship with President Obama. It seems like President Obama wanted to stick it to him.
Well, that's not the way policy should be made, to get even in the lame duck period when there are no checks and balances and you don't have to worry about it in the election. It's the most undemocratic thing a president can do, to tie the hands of his successor during the lame duck period. And what he did was so nasty. He pulled a bait and switch. He said to the American, look, this is about settlements deep in the West Bank. And yet he allowed his representative to the UN to abstain, which is really for a resolution that says the Jews can't pray at the Western Wall. Right. Jewish and Arab students can't go to Hebrew University. Jewish and Arab patients can't go to Hadassah Hospital. Jews can't live in the Jewish quarter where they've lived for thousands of years. And he's going to say, whoops, I didn't mean that. Well, read the resolution. You're a lawyer. You went to Harvard Law School. Read what you've read.
So why did President Obama do this then?
Well, I think he was just trying to get even. Look, he called me into the Oval Office before the election, and he said to me, Alan, I want your support, and I have to tell you, I will always have Israel's back. I didn't realize what he meant is that he would have his back to stab them in the back. And he just stabbed them in the back. And this will make peace much more difficult to achieve, because the Palestinians will now say, we can get a state through the UN, we can get a state through the BDS movement, because this will encourage that, we can get a state through the International Criminal Court, because this will encourage that. We don't have to negotiate, we don't have to make painful compromises. He will go down in history, President Obama, as one of the worst foreign policy presidents ever. What he did to Syria, and what he did and was partly responsible for what happened in Aleppo, creating a vacuum for Russia, I have to tell you, look, I supported his domestic policy. I liked him on Supreme Court appointments, but he created a terrible conflict for people, many like me, liberal Democrats, who support his domestic policy but think he was an appalling president when it came to foreign policy.
Strong words. So many things I want to follow up on.
So badly.
So many I want to follow up on. One on Syria. So why did President Obama focus on stabbing Israel in the back, as you say, and the UN focus on this instead of Syria? Hundreds of thousands are being slaughtered, and they're not focused on that.
Well, there were more resolutions condemning Israel than all the other countries in the world combined, including North Korea, Syria, you name it. China, look at the people who voted for this resolution. China, which has been occupying Tibet. Russia, which has been occupying the Ukraine and Königsberg. New Zealand, which is basically a colonial country established by settlers coming in, killing the Maoris, expelling them, ethnic cleansing, and creating their own country. What hypocrisy.
So take your crystal ball out, and let's try to get something positive out of this, which is Israeli-Palestinian peace. What are the prospects? Is it that now Prime Minister Netanyahu may just go more hardline because of this, and there's a less chance of peace? Or is there a chance here, when President-elect Trump takes office, some glimmer of hope?
Well, there is some glimmer of hope, but you can't undo a UN resolution because you can't take back an abstention. Once the United States didn't veto, that's it forever. So the president has deliberately tied the hands of his successor. It's going to make it much harder for President Trump to bring about peace, but I think he wants to see a negotiated peace. Look, you have two tough guys, Netanyahu and Trump. They'd both love to be Nixon in China. They'd both love to be the guys who made peace and did it on Israel's terms, with good security, protecting Israel. So I'm always an optimist. In Israel, a pessimist is one who says things are so bad they can't get any worse. An optimist is one who says, yes, they can.
Sobering stuff. I wanted to talk to you about the Brooklyn Dodgers. I just wrote a book about Jackie Robinson. You grew up 4 blocks from Ebbets Field.
Right.
We're going to get to that another day. Very interesting talk, tough talk for President Obama. Very interesting words from you.
Thank you.
We appreciate you coming in. Should professors be armed on campus to protect students? One sheriff's department is about to make that happen at one university.
The only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun.
The university's professor will tell us more about the program when he joins us live next. And several performers say they won't take the stage at Donald Trump's inauguration. But one singer did sign up, and guess what? She hit #1 on the charts. We'll have that story coming up.
25 minutes now after the hour. Now to news by the numbers. For $16.6 billion, that is how much Iran says it's paying for 80 Boeing airplanes, which may be used to transport weapons. It also is half of the original price that was announced. Next, 1,030. That's the number of spots in state legislatures, governors' mansions, and Congress lost by Democrats during Obama's presidency. As the fire, though, and sending boxes of white snow all around the country. Is it worth it, though, is the question. Brian, over to you.
I would say no, but that's my opinion. Hey, should professors be armed on college campuses to help prevent active shooters? That's what one Florida university has decided, and they've had the sheriff's department.
They can deliver shock and all.
So here to tell us about this program is Southeastern University's president, Dr. Ken Engel. Dr. Engel, welcome back.
Oh, good morning. It's great to be here.
So what prompted you to give this opportunity for professors to be trained with some type of firearm to prevent a would-be shooter? What prompted this action?
Well, at the very heart of this is to provide absolute commitment to a safe and secure environment for our university community, our faculty, staff, and students. I mean, when our students walk on our campus, they are trusting us to provide a sense of safety and security. And with the recent attacks at Ohio State University and Wayne State, you look at Roseburg, Oregon, the community college attack, we knew immediately we need to take steps to create another layer of security to combat a couple of issues. We want to provide prevention, and we also want to be able to respond rapidly to prevent, of course, loss of life and injury. So we partnered with the Polk County Sheriff's Office. In fact, for the last 2 years, we've had a contractual partnership where they provide safety and security on our campus every single day. But with these new threats, we determined that we needed another level. And so we created this Sentinel program. And basically the program is this. It's a one-of-a-kind program that enables authorized, highly qualified, highly trained faculty members, staff of our university to carry concealed firearms for the sole purpose of engaging an active assailant that comes on campus.
And you don't make these professors do it. But just knowing that these killers want a soft target, they want sitting ducks. You don't know if that professor took the training or didn't. And here's what you're demanding of these professors too: 100 hours of training, 80 hours, an 80-hour sheriff department. 80 hours of sheriff department duties. So when these people get guns, they aren't just saying, okay, I had one day at the range. They're ready to go. And you don't know if room 6 has got an armed professor, or room 10 does, or any building does, or they all do, because most of these guys and whoever they are gutless, and they don't want to be shot back at. They won't go to soft targets.
Absolutely. And of course, those who've kind of been opposed to this, they think, well, it's going to be a wild, wild west scene on your university campus. Absolutely not, because these are highly trained, highly equipped. And our sheriff appoints them as volunteers, special deputies. So they are actually deputies, and they receive 132 hours of training, deadly force training. In fact, that's actually 25% more than the average requirement for a certified law enforcement officer.
And the response from the faculty has been?
Oh, it's been overwhelming support. Again, because we are being very intentional in creating safety and security. And our students absolutely are grateful for us being very intentional. Parents are grateful. In fact, when parents bring their students on our campus to check out the university, the #1 question: what are you doing to take care of our sons and our daughters?
And you do have an answer. The president of Southeastern University, a former sportscaster himself. We started the same way.
Yes,
Dr. Ken Engel, thanks so much.
Oh, thank you, Brian.
All right. And I had a chance to give their commencement address last week. That's how I found about this story, and I thought it would be great to share with you. It's a great place over there. Meanwhile, if you missed it, this Christmas, Donald Trump gets a standing ovation in church. Now, was the scene at Christmas Eve Mass when the president-elect showed up. You'll meet the pastor who prays with the president-elect just ahead. And did you get a Christmas gift you really, don't like?
He looks like a deranged Easter bunny.
He does not.
He does too. He looks like a pink night.